John Keller joins us now with breaking news on the governor's race. John?
Yeah, Paula, it appears as if the long wait is over. Attorney General Maura Healey, for a long time, is speculated to be one of, if not the leading Democratic contender for governor, is poised to enter the race perhaps as early as tomorrow, according to people close to her. Now, I want to point out this has not been officially confirmed by Healey's political staff or her staff at the Attorney General's office. They are not commenting on this right now, but multiple sources within the intimate Healey universe, if you will, are confirming that she is telling them that she's going to do it. And this is something that has been talked about really for many years, going back prior to the last governor's race. Maura Healey, the popular attorney general, dating back to, I think I'm going to blow this, 2014, I believe she was initially elected, has been rumored to be a potential gubernatorial candidate, with Charlie Baker's announcement that he would not seek another term back on December 1st. That speculation only intensified. And there's also been a lot of talk, Paula, about former Boston Mayor, now U.S. Labor Secretary Marty Walsh possibly jumping into the race. But we can talk more about that in a moment. This certainly complicates that calculation. So just to recap, she officially is not confirming this yet, but WBZ News has learned from multiple sources within the Healey universe that she will be entering the race for governor, Paula.
Interesting. So let's go over the candidates already in the race, John, and what does it mean for the GOP in Massachusetts?
Well, in the Democratic primary, interesting, after 492 years without a female governor elected, rather than Jane Swift, of course, became governor after serving as lieutenant governor when Paul Cellucci vacated the office. We now have 3 women in the Democratic primary alone. The first entrant in the race was Danielle Allen of Harvard University, an academic, well-regarded author and lecturer. And then she was followed by State Senator Sonia Chang Diaz, who's been up on Beacon Hill for some time, former chair of the Committee on Education. The daughter, interestingly enough, I'm sure you'll be learning more about this, but the daughter of the first Latino astronaut in the U.S. space program. And now Attorney General Healey jumping in. She enters the race with a huge financial advantage over Senator Diaz and Ms. Allen. Whether this will prompt one or both of them to reconsider their candidacies, we don't know for sure. That'll play out in the coming days. But it's entirely possible this might not be the end of entrance into this race. We'll have to wait and see, for instance, what Marty Walsh decides. On the Republican side, as of right now, the only announced candidate is former State Representative Jeff Deal, who unsuccessfully ran for the U.S. Senate in 2018 against Elizabeth Warren, Paula.
Right. So back to Marty Walsh for a moment, because, of course, Mayor of Boston, now Labor Secretary, and much has been made of his time in Washington, D.C. The back and forth, what would he really do about his future after a historic Boston mayoral race that included so many women candidates? Now we have, in this Democratic primary, many women candidates. And what is your gut? What would you think is going through Marty Walsh's mind right now?
I think he's probably not running because of this. Look, it's been no secret in political circles, in Marty Walsh's circles, that he coveted the job of governor at some point down the road. He, of course, was a state rep for many years, and certainly has had his eye on it. And in the wake of Charlie Baker's announcement, he's definitely been looking it over. There's no two ways about that. I have not spoken with him directly about this recently, but my strong sense from talking with him and others close to him is that he would not give up what's really, in many ways, a plum job being U.S. Secretary of Labor. Not bad for a boy from Savin Hill. This might have been an opportunity too good to pass up.
Sure.
However, Maura Healey, while he would jump into the race with more money than Healey, Healey can certainly close that gap and is considered, I think, by all parties to be an early front runner in this race, Paula.
And
although, you know what? Things can change in politics. How many times have we seen that?
Well, true, of course. You know better than anybody. And this is one interesting factor that you and I have discussed in the past, John. As you say, Maura Healey immediately jumps in with the most name recognition. She seems to also covet this role. But in the history of Massachusetts, attorneys general haven't always had good luck when they've tried for the governor's office.
No, it's been a disaster when attorney generals run. I mean, you think back to Scott Harshbarger, Tom Riley lost in the primary to Deval Patrick. You go all back to Jim Shannon, the former attorney general. He ran for the U.S. Senate and lost in the primary. And then you can go back to Frank Bellotti in 1990 running for governor. He also lost in the primary, although he won the convention endorsement. And going way, way back, Edward McCormick, Attorney General of Massachusetts, sought the governorship and lost. There's a lot of theories about why that might be. Perhaps a sense that many voters are skeptical of police and prosecutorial power, and so someone coming out of that background has a strike against them right off the bat. If you're an effective attorney general, you can make a lot of enemies by prosecuting political people or others who have lots of friends and long memories. Perhaps that's a factor as well. It's really been an interesting sort of trivia question in Massachusetts politics. I think Healey is well positioned to break through that hex, though, in many, many ways, Paula.
Interesting. I'm sure if you spoke with her, she'd say, yeah, well, there's always a first. So we know you've got to, you're talking to sources. We'll be seeing you on WBZ News coming up at 5 o'clock, John. So you have a lot to do. We'll let you go. Thanks so much. So John Keller with the breaking news. He is reporting sources tell him that Attorney General Maura Healey will run for governor of Massachusetts, and we will have much more from John coming up on WBZ News at 5 o'clock. For now, we'll take a break and be back with more right after this.